Over the past 3 years, 16, 17, and now 18, the Best Companies for Women in India initiative, BCWI, is doing exactly that. It is powering the collective intent on inclusion, helping fragmented bits of ideas cohere into an intentional, vision-driven whole. Over its 2 successful runs in 16 and 17, there are several changes that the study has brought into the Indian landscape, and I'm just going to share the top 5 very briefly. Number 1, the BCWI has become the big data platform for gender diversity initiatives in India. We receive applications from an average of about 350, 360 companies every year. The data rigor of the companies in tracking and measuring D&I initiatives has jumped by an incredible 80%. There is simply no metric at all in the entire gamut of gender inclusion that is not captured by the BCWI. Point number 2, BCWI has helped make diversity conversations to be very inclusive of men and not limited to women. Last year, under Shubha's guidance, we instituted the Male Ally Legacy Award for the very first time. To say we were overwhelmed with the response would be an understatement. Over 100 nominations in the very first year. Point number 3, the BCWI has become the go-to platform for sharing and celebrating best practices around gender inclusion. The yearbooks that we launched in 16 and 17, featuring the 100 best, are among the most authentic repertoire of best practices in gender diversity around the country. In 2017, we convened for the very first time the Best Practices of the 100 Best Conference. We call it BOB for short. BOB hosted some of the most pertinent discussions on gender inclusion, showcased several success stories of the 100 best, and is today one of the coolest, most happening gender diversity conclaves in India. Point number 4, and this is an important one. The BCWI has helped lessen the industry divide in embracing gender inclusion. In 2017, 64% of the listed companies were from the non-IT sector. I mean, you can see, of course, IT sector leads, but then everybody else is very quickly sort of following up. Lastly, number 5, and yes, this is my favorite. The Best Companies study is driving increased leadership intent in diversity-conscious companies. Gender intelligence training, up by 24%. Men as Gender Advocates program, up by 46%. And 15% of the 2017 100 best had women CEOs. Go women! Inclusion is definitely here to stay, with leaders driving it from the front. But wait, more than all of this, there is one paramount role that the BCWI plays in India. Ladies and gentlemen, in India, the key problem is that more and more women are falling off the workplace. Look at this. The female employment rate in India, counting both formal and informal sectors, has tumbled from an already low 35% in 1990 to 29% in 2010 to just 25% in 2017. Compare this with 48.8% right here in the US. So that's how less the number of women who are actually participating in the Indian workplace. But yet, paradoxically, during the same time, our economy almost doubled in size. So what does that mean? A rise in female employment rates to the male level would actually provide India with an extra 235 million workers, enough to boost India's GDP by a whopping 27%. Imagine the upshots. Were India to rebalance its workforce, our people would be well on their way to middle income status. More than the obvious economic benefits are the incalculable human ones. Women who work are more likely to invest in their children's upbringing, more likely to have better access to nutrition, more likely to lead safer lives. Professor Claudia Golden of Harvard speaks about the U-curve relationship of economic development of nations with women's workforce participation. What it means is that during the development curve of countries, women's workforce participation dips and then rises again after a brief hiatus. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the ultimate vision of the Best Companies for Women in India initiative. I hope that we are about to witness the rise in Golden's curve of women's workforce participation in India.